Kingy, good morning to you, and what are your first thoughts?
First thoughts, we're too quick to write off the ageing stars, the absolute best of our competition. Max Gawn is just one of a kind. And I hear all the guys have been watching footy for 30, 40, 50 years, and they all talk about Simon Madden. They talk about how good a ruckman he was and what he was able to do when he went forward to the ball and just the tap craft and all that sort of stuff. And I can't recall how good he was. But if Max Gawn's not challenging that right now, I couldn't believe that Simon could be on it in that next stratosphere to Max. He was unbelievable yesterday. And what he was able to do for a club that's resetting, rebuilding, gone past have turned the page on the Stephen Mays, the Olivers, and even Petrarca to a point. So this guy will be one of the greatest cultural influences on this group that you can absolutely ask for. I think Stephen King is be thanking his lucky stars today that Max is this Max.
That is his last quarter. 10 possessions, 5 contested, 3 inside 50s, 3 score involvements and a goal.
So
this is why I love the players that put in everything they can in the off-season.
Yeah.
So it comes to three-quarter time, and De Koning's pretty good. That was a great battle. You were all over it in the call. Like you're speaking about, it was, let's call it 50-50. They both had their moments. De Koning started strongly, Gawn fought back. It was on. It was one of the great individual battles we've seen. We don't see many individual battles in today's footy, do we?
No.
And then at three-quarter time, Max has gone, you know what? I was riding my bike in Switzerland. I don't have an ounce of fat on me in November. I'm ready to go. I'm fit. No one has done more work than me. I've got my home set up at home where I've got my sauna, my ice bath, my gym, my Pilates machine. I'm a professional. And De Koning's got to sit back and go, am I doing the work that Max is doing in the off-season? Because I could not go with him. He could not go with him in the last quarter.
And not just the last quarter. So I was fascinated by when he would need a break. And sometimes things can consume you in games. You find you're doing commentary and thinking, I can't stop talking about this ruck battle. I'm just fixated with both of them having their influence. Like, De Koning's start to the game was brilliant. And there was some tactical nous from Ross Lyon that impacted that. Let's not kick it to Max. Let's go short of Max and give TDK a chance to influence the game. So he had his way early, and then Max said, no. And we got angry, Max. He got angry in that second term, and he lifted. He had 4 minutes spell in the next 78 minutes of footy. I don't know a ruckman in our game that's been able to do that. And we've had different types and all that sort of stuff. But name me a ruckman that has a 4-minute break for 2.5 quarters of footy.
So he played the entire last quarter,
Yeah.
31 minutes and 2 seconds. He played about 9 minutes more than De Koning as well.
He was gone.
Yeah, he spent 8 minutes of the last quarter on the bench.
Yeah, he was physically gone. He had to get off. And I think Max thought, you know what? I've broken him. I've broken him physically and I've broken him mentally. And it was just such a sign of, for the group to say that's our man, that's our captain. That when you talk about leadership and great captains, this is why we talk about getting your captaincy right. You got to have the guy that'll lead like this. Yeah, and there's been a bit of change, and I'll get to Andy McGrath later, right? But the difference between what Max can do for Melbourne and what McGrath can do for Essendon are North and South Pole. One doesn't want to defend, doesn't want to engage in the fight, and the other one wants the fight.
So get up early and do the work and put it in, and it can decide the outcome of the game, which brings me to my point. What in terms of one of the worst moves I've ever seen, and I don't know who called this move, but certainly it should have been overridden. We've got to talk about Nasiah, who spent the first 13 minutes of the last quarter at full forward. No worries, fine. But he's deep forward, having essentially a rest in game. He kicks a goal with 11 minutes to go. He runs straight off the ground. No one stops him. No one gets him to the interchange bench and sends him back straight into the centre bounce to the midfield or at half back. They pull him off. They get him on the phone for 6 minutes and 20 seconds. And Ross Lyon did not answer the question in his post-game press conference.
Yeah, no, it was really simple. He had a licence to go anywhere. He was getting tagged, so you just put a tag and you open up your forward line. And I said, mate, you can go and take the kick in, you can go behind the ball, you can go to the stoppage, or you can go there. So, and the young player that was on him was cramping. Once you kick 3, he's their second highest goal kicker. So the most on the ground 6. If you're a part-time forward, we'd probably take 3, to be honest. So sometimes you've got to let them drive the car. You can't get in the way of those top flights, but it's a steep learning curve.
Well, you can get in the way of a 22-year-old who wants to come off the ground. You can send him back. You can't take the kick-ins or go to full forward or go to centre bounce when you're on the bench in crunch time, when you've spent 13 minutes of full forward resting. It is going to be hard to beat as the dumbest coaching move this year, Kingy. What are they doing with Nasiah?
Well, I think Nasiah has the major say. Where do you want to take this guy, or how do you want to beat him? You want to take him in the centre bounce? Go for it. Do you want to go to full forward?
You can't take him on the bench, though. That's fine. No, you can't take him on the bench.
I don't understand the bench. The game's there to be won. You challenge your best players to fight through a lot of fatigue, He was at full forward for 10 minutes. So why wasn't he not able to do it? I don't know, but I don't have an answer for that. I don't.
Are you happy with the responsibility level to him? So essentially they're just saying to him, you go wherever you want. Do you think he needs a bit more coaching than that? He's still pretty inexperienced.
Yeah, and that's part of the growth, isn't it? Challenge the player to know himself first, and then when he fails, and this is part of the journey. You got to ride some. It's not pure for everyone. It's not just, hey, now he's this player, we don't need to worry about him. You still got to manage him, obviously, but
that's my point. Don't they need to manage him?
Let him fail first. You got to let him. You got to let him control his own destiny first, don't you?
I would think that you still need some strong coaching, and I would think if you are a team that needs to win now, and there's some different debate about where the Saints are at, whether they are in it for now or whether they're in it for 3 years, which to me seems a little bit ridiculous. I would have thought the last 2 years were the build up to this year, and
they're not in it to win it this year.
No, but they're in it to win a final this year. Like that would be probably finals, top 8, top 6 would be the pass mark. I would think you got to win a final with the
when Joe
spending spree.
Danaher went to Brisbane, everyone said, that's it now. They're there to win it. It was 3 years later they won it. 4 years later they won it. So you just got to give it a little bit of time, just a little bit of time. And I didn't think they were too bad yesterday.
No, they were good. They were fine. They're going to win some games of footy. Like they're going to be a tough out. They're going to get on a roll at some point. The Saints are going to win 4 or 5 in a row, and they're going to look like it's on track. But you drop the first 2 against sides that you think are going to be pretty much around you. It hurts. And if you want to win games of footy, leave your best players on the ground when it comes to crunch time. And as I said, it's going to be hard to beat. To have that as one of the most mismanaged pieces this year when the game was on the line. Not for the first time. Last week was a bad effort from them in the coach's box as well. It wasn't that across the board yesterday, but that one particular move, if he stays out there, they'll probably win.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll probably win. Max was not letting that happen. But the other thing that I think they're getting wrong, St Kilda, is they're not utilising the magnet of what I think is St Kilda's second best player. St Kilda's second best player is Max Hall, and he doesn't go in the centre bounce. He's been in twice. This is his last 6 games in centre bounce opportunities. 2, 2, 2, 3, 6. Do you remember? That's just not enough. This guy is a total star. Total star. Recruiters annoy me, right? They talk in code. They talk in different language about players and where they're from and how they're doing this, and his ceilings here and his floors here, all this rubbish they go on with. This guy was a mid-year pick 2 years ago, 2023. So he's played 2.5 seasons since. He's their second best player. I don't care what number he was drafted or when he was drafted. Just look at the product now. 26 touches yesterday, 13 scoring involvements. Do you remember the game last year, the Nasiah game everyone's talking about? He was as much a reason they won that game as Nasiah was next level. This guy went in for 10 centre bounce opportunities that day. He's hardly done it since. What are they doing at St Kilda with Max Hall? Put him in the guts. Get the guys that are just bits and pieces players out of the way.
Right. So like your Jack McRae's? Get him out of the way.
Max
where is my man that rang up about Jack McRae? Of all the midfielders you can take your pick of in the first 2 rounds, you would select Jack McRae.
Yep, and the statistics support it. And you're
the fantasy stats, or the real stats? Which ones?
He's had 150 and 140. He's had
Yeah,
there it is. Fantasy stats. I got him.
We got him. So you're saying McRae out, Hall in.
I'm saying Hall needs to be in for a dozen centre bounces a game. Everything he touches turns to scores. How long? I mean, I personally think they waited too long to get Nasiah in the middle. We were talking about it on first crack for 6 months, 12 months.
He only went in there 14
in the middle.
times yesterday.
Yeah, but it took a long time for them to move him half back into the middle.
Yeah.
So I think they got the same blind spot with Max Hall. Get him in the guts and let the boy play.
Collingwood's going to be an interesting story this year. There isn't any doubt about that. Good last week and got away with it. Not as good, clearly, against Adelaide. And their scoring issues, probably since Craig McRae had a crack at Fremantle's game style last year, have been there for us all to see. He was asked about this post-game.
That's reality. We're not getting much out of our keys. That's real. I'm not going to shy away from that. We've got work to do on that. I think there's a connection breakdown at times. You get opportunities to go against other teams and go, right, what's the issues right now? And centre bounce work has been a bit of a pattern for us, so we've got some work to do. And then we got some work forward of the ball.
All right. So how do they solve this, Kingy? Personnel, game style, bit of both, but no one in that forward line is going to scare you at all.
Yeah, and this is where you can disagree with other commentators and other opinions. The forward, when you lock the ball in your forward half and just continually keep driving the ball back in, those repeat entries, you need someone in your forward line. That becomes then a talent issue for me. Someone to take control for you to score. They don't have that guy. So to me, the forward half game doesn't suit them. They nearly need to roll back to half back or fractionally deeper to win the ball back deeper to come at speed. So their smalls can get involved. It's a random event, whoever finishes with the ball, the last shot at goal, if you like, or the final piece of the play. I don't think they can play lock-in forward half footy. And that's the way they design their game style. They want to defend first through territory. I don't think it suits their profile. They only score by handball. They only score at speed. They don't score on slow play.
Since round 20, that was that Fremantle game where he had a crack at their game style. They've gone 93, 65, 46, 56, 82, 79, 71, 78, 79. That's the scoring profile. They are slow, they are boring, and they lack any threat in the forward half. So, and it was there for us all to see, we think. And they will win some games of footy. I think you and I had them at 11. That's probably about right because they're well coached, they're well disciplined, and they know what to do when it comes to crunch time in close games. But let's be honest, they're not a serious threat at all this year, and it was pretty obvious to see that throughout the preseason and the way that they've built this list.
So how do they protect against a lengthy tenure at the bottom of the table?
Correct.
That's the question.
Well, and the other question is splashing your cash on free agents like Ben King, whilst that is definitely a need, is plonking Ben King in this Collingwood side going to be the difference? He's going to help, but I don't think he's going to be the difference between finishing 8th or 9th or 7th and winning it again. So how do you rebuild when you've neglected the draft, when you are Collingwood, when the expectation is high, is really difficult, and it's a difficult discussion for every AFL team that has had success, and it's a big problem for the AFL. The next 5-6 years are going to be really interesting. I won't say fascinating at Collingwood this year. Should we speak about what happened at Marvel Stadium yesterday, David?
Should we speak about it? Wow, all I've heard is you talk about how good Port are going to be and their big five, and how good Jason Horne-Francis is coming back from injury, and Butters and Rosie. Oh my God. It's been a punish listening to.
You know that I had my doubts over this side coming in, and yesterday was a confronting experience, really. I think if you're a Port Adelaide fan, when you get beaten in contested footy as bad as they did, so minus 20, you get smashed in clearances by 11, you miss 20 tackles, if you get scored against from stoppage by 8 goals to 5, against a side that is supposed to be one of the poorer sides in the league, then you would think it's not a great start. But I wanted to speak about the way the list has been built at Port Adelaide. As you know, I've been quite vocal on it. They did not take a draft pick, remember? This isn't a team that's rebuilding. This is a team that's in it to win finals this year. You don't rebuild and not go to the draft. 0 draft picks. Instead, they loaded up with what I called list cloggers throughout the pre-season, and Josh Carr was on with Gary and Tim a couple of weeks ago, and he was asked that exact question.
I don't need to respond to it. I just got to let the actions do the talking and let those go. I think they're going to. Corey Durden's going to be great for our footy club. I know it. Will Brodie, I've coached at Fremantle. He can find the footy. He'll play AFL footy.
Jacob Ware.
Jacob Ware. Yeah, he's been outstanding. Just consistent, playing on a wing. As far as I guess performing role, outstanding, and he'll make us better.
There's a couple others were in that category as well. So I just looked at the rankings that Champion Data do per game on those players. Firstly, Will Brodie played SANFL, and wasn't even listed as an emergency. Jacob Weir was the 41st ranked player on the field. Corey Durden was the 40th ranked player on the field. Jack Watkins was the 38th ranked player on the field. I could go on and on and on about the way this list has been developed, and it's a real shame when you've got nothing to look forward to with young players coming through because you've ignored the draft. I'm really concerned where they're going is the point. And yesterday sort of solidified those concerns, Kingy.
Yeah. You'll have a stack of draft picks when Butters leaves.
Well, that's it. Yeah.
And what's it going to look like then? The trapdoor could fall out of the joint. It's just gone for 5 years. And it can happen quickly, and the alarm bells are ringing. It was a really disappointing performance yesterday. They got humbled in the middle. Absolutely brained. I mean, if it wasn't for Butters winning clearance, he was it. It was Butters or bust in the guts. I thought
O'Sullivan did a really good job.
Yeah.
I thought that was, I was thinking, who can go to Butters? That's what I was sort of thinking. They don't like Will Phillips isn't there anymore. Who's going to go to him? And I thought to keep Butters and he started really well. I think he had 9 in the first quarter.
Yeah.
He ends up with 23 for the game and 4 score involvements. I think, and Finn hasn't played a lot of footy. I thought that was an incredibly disciplined performance. So I'd be rapt if I was a North fan seeing the way they went about it. And I mentioned my top 3 dumbest coaching moves of the round. So I've given it to Ross.
Yeah.
I got another nomination. How you could leave Jordan Sweet in the SANFL and play Dante Vicentini against Tristan Sherry blows my mind. So that's number 2 of the dumbest coaching moves that I've seen this round. So, I mean, there's spot fires everywhere when it comes to this performance. But, I mean, you could have seen the writing on the wall when you put a kid up against Tristan Sherry, who's an absolute bear, a monster, and you wonder why you have 8 goals conceded from stoppage. So I don't know. I'm a bit fired up, Kingy. It's a bit depressing right now if you're a Port Adelaide fan. But be careful what you wish for, because this is what the Port Adelaide fans wanted. This is what they wanted.
What do you mean it's what they want?
This is what they wanted.
What do you mean?
They're incredibly critical of what has gone on in the last 13 years, but maybe the grass isn't always greener, is all I'll say.
So you think this is Ken related?
No, I just think Ken did an outstanding job with what he had.
We've done this argument. We've done this discussion. They got LDU'd for about 20 minutes, or probably 10 minutes. Probably
broke
less.
6 tackles yesterday.
Yeah, he was unbelievable. He won that. He got the clearance game rolling, and then once McKercher burst through at speed and kicked that goal, you thought, wow. Sometimes you just need a moment. I talked about that with Fremantle before. You just need someone to have that moment where they go, you know what, I'm going, and I'm going to make something happen here. And you talked about Finn O'Sullivan wanting it to happen, LDU wanting it to happen, the former captain wanting it to happen. I thought LDU was the one. Stevens was really good, good. Best game I've seen him play.
Exactly. I was going to say that. Like, I thought that was a good sign as well. Like, he would know that his career is hanging on he's walking a tightrope, really.
Yeah.
I saw him run 35 metres to smother a ball that was going to be a walking goal. I thought, Dylan, and then 30 seconds later, he's laying a massive tackle. I've never, ever seen that level of desperation from Dylan Stevens. So that was what impressed me. I mean, Comben, I love. I thought he was outstanding yesterday. I mean, how many intercept marks did he end up taking? 5.
I got 15 messages yesterday saying Trem Bath over Ice Bath, which I found sort of quite humorous. I had to look up whether Jason played. I didn't see him on the screen.
No, he was average yesterday.
Was he really?
He was really average.
Yeah, and I think that the investment in the game, like the Kangaroos the football club itself had a lot on the line yesterday. I mean, the talk by Caro last week and Sammy Edmund last month about the board challenges and everything bubbling behind the scenes. If it went pear-shaped on Sunday, bang, Pandora's box.
It's such a crucial win, and Clarko did the couple of pieces in both newspapers on the morning of the game. Very emotional sort of stuff, and you could see his emotion. Love the fact that he just stayed up in the coach's box. He wasn't running up and down the stairs, coaching from the bench, then up, then down. He looked in control.
I don't want to hear any more, by the way. That's it for me. I mean, North have...
This is the standard?
Just put so many statements out there in the last few weeks. That's it. Just get on with coaching and get on with playing. Just nose to the grindstone, get on with it. Like, I just get sick of the... Look, Clarko, for me, I'm rapt that he's there, and we needed him at the time we got him, and start of the year, it's, they got a final 10 now. We can make the finals. Then 6 weeks later, it's, this could take 10 years, but I'm in for the long... What was it, 10 years, or is it we're playing finals? And then it's, you got to take my first 2 years off my 4-year tenure. I know it's my 4th year, but really, I haven't coached for... Come on, guys. Let's just get on. Cut the nonsense let's just get on with the game.
That's the standard. Let's win 10 games this year, and you won't hear boo from anyone. It's not a high bar, and that was the bar that they set yesterday. So
bad day for those who are trying to overthrow the board, I would have thought.
Yeah, that didn't help.
Didn't help them. Help the club, though. Kingy,
I'm going to let you unload on your favourite topic, and that is the Essendon Football Club.
Well, I'm just watching to see when it will change, and will it be the leaders that take control of the footy club? And nothing's changed defensively. I thought that was as poor a performance as you've seen, with the dedication to fight the fight when you don't have possession. They attack like no one else, and they defend like they don't care. And I think it's getting hard for Essendon fans to watch. And so many discussions and so many words and so many meaningless conversations through the whole pre-season period of, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're working on this, we're working on that. Merritt out as captain, can't have him as captain, bang, gone as captain. Now Andy McGrath, and Andy was terrific, come in here and had a chat with us.
Yep.
But you got to play like a captain. And one of the great errors you can make is to not have your captain play in the right manner, in a ruthless way, in the right manner to be the guy. And I just have my fears, and I'm going to give him time. It's game one, right? But they've got to be better than that. And he's got to be better than that defensively. Otherwise, you can't stand at the front of the group and say, this is what we're doing, guys. Because everyone looks at you and says, hey, mate, what are you talking about? You're not doing it yourself. So there's a real watch on for me with the leaders at the Bombers.
A watch on the Bombers, 0433 98 11 16. I thought after the game.
What about Merritt? Yeah. Can you tell me about what your discussion was there?
I just think when you look at the way that game unfolded and the way that I think he's wanting to play, and that is more outside distributor than inside contested ball-winning beast. That's what it looks like to me. Did Hawthorn need him? Or were they better off saving the picks, 3 of them, saving the cash, $1 million, and investing in Mackenzie and Ward, who are of a similar size to Merritt, that played very, very well. In the end, I think it's probably going to be a net benefit for them that he chose, or they couldn't get the deal done in the end. I just think save your money, save the picks, invest in 22, 23-year-olds that you've drafted with high picks inside the top 10, give the minutes to McDonald, give them to Watson, give them to Mackenzie, give them to Ward. I'm not sure Zach Merritt's outside handball receiving is necessarily going to help Hawthorn where they are needed most.
Not going to help Hawthorn. Wouldn't have helped Hawthorn. Aren't they a midfielder short?
Well, but it depends what midfielder you're talking about. Is he the midfielder that they're short of?
A weapon on the outside. If he's a weapon on the outside, what a luxury that would be.
They've got a lot of weapons on the outside. They've got D'Ambrosio. They've got Amon.
They're half-backs and wingmen. He's not that.
Well, that's the way that he's playing to me. That's what it looks like. The way he looks like he wants to avoid contact to me at the moment, Merritt. 4 clearances, 2 tackles. I'd rather give... Now, Ward and Mackenzie aren't the players that Merritt are. I completely understand that. But I'd rather give them a crack at being that. I mean, they're 22.
Yeah.
Watson, get him in there, 21. McDonald, get him in there, is enormous. Not as many midfield minutes on Friday night as you would hope that he's going to get, but invest in what you've got, and then go for Butters, or then go for a actually powerful, tough inside midfielder, which is where you really need the support at Hawthorn. It's not on the outside, I don't think, anyway.
Yeah,
Save your picks.
Yeah, and that's another slant on that discussion, which I like all opinions, Cornsey. I don't necessarily agree with you, but I like the opinion. I think in hindsight, Merritt going to Hawthorn would have been great for Hawthorn, and Essendon desperately look like they need the picks to me. Like I know I feel like we've talked about Merritt for 6 months, so where you sit on it can chop and change, but wow. They've been down for a while, like some clubs have, like the Kangas have, like West Coast are going to go through now. Port Adelaide are going to go through that now. There's only one way to get yourself out of it, and that's with picks. They had a great chance to grab 3.
Justin Longmuir, as we move on to your boy, had this to say after the loss against Geelong.
Well, I think anyone who's been around football would realise it's an advantage. We should all start the season the same way. There should be no competitive advantage in teams having played a game before they play another team. It just makes so much sense to people in the industry, and we've just got it. We've just got it wrong.
Now, what he says is valid, but it was the wrong time to say it. And then when Adelaide go and beat Collingwood a couple of hours later, and then when Melbourne go and beat St Kilda 24 hours later, then it doesn't look as good. No one likes a sore loser. No one likes excuses, particularly when you're 8 goals up or whatever it was, 6 goals up, you kick 8 in the first quarter. Just go and get it done. It had nothing to do with you playing or not playing in opening round. If anyone needs to complain, it's Geelong. The fact that Geelong are forced to play an opening round after playing off in a grand final with the shorter preparation that you get as a result, Brisbane the same, that's the unfair part of it. Give Geelong and Brisbane an extra week off to prepare themselves after playing in a grand final. If anyone can complain, it's Chris Scott. I don't think it's Justin Kingy.
He was asked a direct question though.
Yep.
And I think we have to accept that
we had our opportunities to win the game. We had a big lead. We couldn't get it done in the last quarter. We'll address the issues with the AFL around scheduling later on. It's difficult for us. We have to travel. I understand that. But that wasn't the difference in why we lost the game today.
Well, I would go the other way, and I would say you're in. Round 0 next year, you're in. You're going to Brisbane.
That'd go down well.
Well, it's going to be in the northern states. You're either going to Brisbane, either going to Queensland, or you're going to New South Wales. So you're going to. Is that what they want? So give them that, but don't whinge when you have to go halfway across the country as an opening round, and then have to back up for round 1. So you just be careful.
Adelaide then beat Collingwood, and Melbourne get it done in a tough one against.
I think it's hard when you're asked a direct question, though. I would just put that little sort of
I'm not going to be as kind on that one. I don't think it ever reflects well when you lose and then you come up with an excuse as to why you lost that wasn't related to your performance or that of your team. You and I had a bet at one stage, Tom, with some premium Cobram Estate oil.
What was the bet, Kane?
I can't remember what we bet on, but you did
If you
pay
can't
up.
remember the bet.
I gave you a bottle
Did
of
you pay
it.
up or not?
Absolutely,
premium.
always.
Out
He
until you
definitely-
pay up.
I already have.
No, he paid up. I said he paid up. I
Oh.
just can't remember what the bet was. Anyway, let's start
welcome
with
aboard then.
Scotty Pendlebury. What's happening?
Well, as we sit here this morning, Collingwood is seriously considering taking this MRO charge to the tribunal. So I don't think they're going to be able to get it down to low impact, which would be a fine. So it comes back to this, and Kingy and Kane, you tell me whether Scott Pendlebury fits into this category after 427 games. It's a good bloke, good record clause in colloquial terms. Players will not automatically receive a reduced sanction for a good record. However, if a classifiable offence is contested or referred to the tribunal, a player with an exemplary record may argue that their good record constitutes exceptional or compelling circumstances. So just to be clear, Pendlebury's played 427 games. He's never been suspended. He's been fined 3 times, once in 2022 and twice in 2024. Does he qualify for this
Yes.
good bloke clause?
If he doesn't, no one does. So let him off. Let him play.
Kingy?
If he gets off, right, so in 5 games' time, he equals Boomer Harvey, that would be Anzac Day. there couldn't possibly. They want the marquee Anzac Day, 4:32.
Better time.
The AFL would be thinking, okay, we're going to get a full house anyway.
Is the tribunal thinking of that, though?
They'll get told what
Do you
to
reckon Andrew Dillon might just say, hey, mate.
They'll get told what to do.
Don't have that clause if it doesn't apply to someone like Scott. There's no point in having it.
How does that clause go when we get legal down the track with the concussion discussion? When you're talking with the legal eagles, not the emotion of the AFL and how we all love Scott Pendlebury, and he's not a dirty player, but in the end, we've failed to punish someone or sanction someone for head trauma.
Yeah, I'm not sure it stands up down the track for that, but does it stand up down the track this season? What if Pendlebury hits someone and knocks him out with a bump and gets 3 weeks? Then does it get down to 2 or 1, or does he get off? So is there double jeopardy? Like, can he do this again in round 18?
You can only use it once.
Only once, you reckon?
One every 400 games.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
Right.
he's not going to use it for. I mean, he's been suspended once in 426, so the likelihood of him being suspended again is practically zero. So you use it once, you move on, let him off, let him play. Hey, can you decode some myths when it comes to the new drugs code policy?
Lots of reporting around the drugs code, which is not far away from being completed, Kane and Kingy. So this was a review commissioned, and most recommendations came back in favour of the current policy, despite what some people were saying. The current policy, in the eyes of the AFL Players Association, is mostly good, and the AFL really doesn't have many legs to stand on, because the review that was commissioned came back and said the same thing. So I want to bust 6 myths, 6 dot points on what the drug policy will be. So, number 1, this drug code won't be punitive. The AFLPA just haven't allowed it to be. You can argue that it should be, but it won't be. There will be more rigour around it through behaviour change. The behaviour change model is enhanced, and more education, but it will not be punitive. Number 2, and jump in if you've got any questions or any thoughts. There have been some reports that players can now be removed from the game under this new drugs policy. That's actually always been the case. A club doctor has always had the ability to remove a player before a game for medical reasons, and they're empowered to do so again. So that hasn't changed. The headlines have been a little bit misleading on that. Number 3, players will only be suspended in the absolute most extreme circumstances. So there's been some reporting that players are more likely to be suspended for drug use. That will be the absolute nth degree, like last possible scenario. Like when it's unsafe for them to take the field, they'll get lots of chances, education and rehab before this even becomes an option. Number 4, another myth. So the illicit drugs policy won't be managed by anyone at the AFL at the moment, including Laura Kane, as I read. It will ultimately be a portfolio for a new AFL staffer, someone who hasn't been employed yet, whose solo job will be to look after this drugs policy. Number 5, now this is regarding the financial contributions that players make. So players won't contribute to the costs of their education in the early instances, as has been reported. The ones that are the players who are deemed to be taking the mickey out of the system. So if a player tests positive for drugs and needs education or needs some sort of program that they go into, they will not have to fund that program, as has been reported. And number 6, regarding the confidentiality, it will remain very tight. So I can't remember who gave the quotes last week. Was it Jeff Kennett said something about that more people at the club should know when someone tests positive? It will not be club staff. It won't be coaches. It won't be the footy boss. It will just be the doctor and the psychologist and any other medical staff at the club. So I know there's been some talk that it's going to be a new and improved drugs policy. It remains to be seen whether that is the case, how improved it will be. But it won't be much different from what we've seen in the past. The 3 strikes policy's gone, but that didn't work anyway. So in reality, it'll be largely the same as what it's been.
Well, so just break it down for me in real time.
Yeah.
So a player tests positive on a Tuesday afternoon hair test scenario. What happens?
So the hair testing will be increased as well. That's a big part of it. So the doctor at the club will be notified.
Yeah. What happens to the player?
Well, the player will be put into a medical group, as happens now. And there might be a chance the player doesn't play that weekend, and the coach won't know why.
What do you mean might be a chance? Look,
well, if the doctor believes that it's unsafe for the player to play because it's still be in his system on game day, which would be performance enhancing, the doctor might pull that player out. Or he might just be training the player the next day because...
And no one will know?
No, the doctor will know.
And no one, like the public,
the public won't know.
No one will know. So
no one will know.
How will that player be listed as out?
Well, it's up to the club to decide what they do, exactly as they do
Let's
now.
say we're
Might
back
be,
to where we are.
Yeah, it might be gastro, it might be hamstring awareness, you name it. Could be personal reasons.
I got to say, I just completely zone out when it comes to the drugs policy because no one's serious about it. Not one person in the game is serious about it. Don't even have one. It is a waste of time. They don't care for it. They don't care about making a stand. They don't really care about the players' welfare. It is the softest, most ridiculous policy, and it just got even softer. So don't even worry about having one. It's honestly, it is,
I think, Kane, what you
taking
probably
the mickey.
I think probably what you underestimate and what many people underestimate is, yes, there are people that take the mickey out of the drugs code, but it's also actually saved a lot of players. There are current players in the AFL right
only
now.
Saved them from testing positive on
Saved
game
them
day.
from what?
That's all it saved them
No.
from.
The welfare side of it.
What's it saved them from?
It saved them from potential self-harm. It saved them from being out of the system completely. But you can't mention these players on air because then that would be tarnishing their name. But I know players, not personally, but I know of players that the drugs code has been hugely beneficial towards because of the welfare model that's involved. So it works both ways.
Yeah, I don't agree.
I'm scared.
Well, I'll tell you off there who those players are.
I
That's
don't
right,
want to know the names, but if
I'm sure they would have come to that realisation themselves. Like, I'm not
how do
sure
we know?
It's the medical model that saved them. Like them being flagged with a hair test and having a chat to the doctor is essentially all that's happening. Has saved them from that. I'm sure they would have come to that realisation that, gee, I'm on the wrong path here.
Yeah.
They still get the guidance and the help from the doctors, regardless of whether a hair test comes back.
They've got to miss footy. They've got to miss games
and be named.
Yeah.
There's got to be you've got to be disincentivised by taking it with the threat that after a second or third time you are going to be named. That's the only thing that would stop them from taking the absolute you-know-what out of this. But anyway, Tom, you've got a lot of stuff we've got to get through. The AFL is under fire for fully ticketed games and the poor crowds.
Yeah, I think there's an acknowledgement now from people at the AFL that they've just made a couple of small errors so far this season, naming fully ticketed games when they probably shouldn't have been. So 71,000 people were at Essendon Hawthorn, 9,000 less than last year. So a fully ticketed game is when the projected demand from AFL members, club members, MCC members, and public buys that exceeds the capacity of the ground. Now, the AFL, in that instance, will declare the match fully ticketed. They were quite sharp to do so ahead of Essendon Hawthorn, and there was certainly some raised eyebrows in clubland that it was fully ticketed. And I think the cost of living pinch that's happening in society at the moment, the extra money that club members have to pay to then go to games, will made a big difference. So I think the AFL will be just readjust that in the future, and I think so they should, because initially fully ticketed games, Kane and Kingy, are for absolute blockbusters. Anzac Day Eve, King's birthday, not necessarily Essendon Hawthorn on a Friday night in the first or second week of the season.
Making a lot of small errors, the AFL. Just a lot of small errors. It's starting to mount up. Starting to build a little of a pile here at round one.
Yeah.
Now, the wind at Dingley would blow a dog off its chain.
Blow a dog off a chain, Cornsey.
What's the update?
Kingy, this is for you. I know you're big on it. So it's been reported elsewhere. I think Steve-O first reported it on Zero Hanger, Kane, that that Hawthorn is looking at building some sort of structure that would limit the wind.
What sort of structure are they
So they're
do?
calling it. They're calling it a wind-resistant net of some sort. And it would cost less than $500K, which has been reported.
It'll be a beauty.
Kingy, a wind-resistant net. Keep your eye out for it. That's what they're looking to build.
Yeah. That's a beauty.
Yeah.
Just one bone to pick with you, Tom, about your colleagues and your line of profession. Why is it so difficult to attribute someone else who's broken a story in your line of work?
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be. I just mentioned Steve-O half a minute ago.
You only did that because you knew this topic was coming up.
Not at all. I mentioned anyone. I mentioned everyone all the time.
So who broke the Dylan Moore and Connor McDonald story?
Oh, it was Mitch Cleary on Channel 7.
Yes. So is there any thought that anyone else could have had their fingerprints on that story?
Safe space.
No, well, the Herald Sun revealed some details afterwards.
Extra
No,
details.
Around the allegations of drug paraphernalia.
The Herald
Fresh
Sun
details.
revealed on Wednesday that Dylan Moore and Connor McDonald were arrested and charged with criminal trespass and allegedly climbing onto a scissor lift in a Phoenix parking lot. I knew all of that.
Didn't they have the $100 note scenario?
I knew all of that, the drug paraphernalia and all of that, on Tuesday. So the Herald Sun didn't reveal anything on Wednesday.
Don't know why
Yeah.
you read it. I don't know why you
it's,
bother.
it's an issue.
It
There was also
upsets you.
one of the.
Annoying. It's annoying.
I found
it's
it
like when people take our interviews from Fireball and they write it up as a story and they don't mention Fireball.
I did notice that Alistair
It's annoying.
Clarkson did an interview with Jake Nile and did an interview with Jay Clark.
Saw that.
And on the front of the Herald Sun, it said exclusive. I'm thinking to myself, he's done 2 interviews here, one with each newspaper, and the Herald Sun's claiming it as an exclusive. Now, the
Anyway,
quotes
no
were
one
exclusive.
cares. But when you come in, I have to
No,
grill you on that
thanks
situation.
for asking.
Hey, can you hang around for the agenda?
Yes, no worries. Do you want any injuries or not yet?
Can I get quickly?
let's-
Can I get the ballers out there to tweet me on what you think you'd get as a windbreaker for 500 grand?
An injury update for Carbone lawyers. Injured and need a good lawyer. You know what to do. Get Carbone on the phone. Todd Marshall has a rolled ankle. He'll get scans today. Isaac Heaney will also have his hamstring scanned today. Not a lot of optimism around Errol Goulden with his shoulder. That will get scanned today, and I'm not sure that's looking good for him or Sydney. Liam Ryan has a corked shoulder, and Matthias Philippou has a corky as well. And Noah Anderson with his head is fine. He got a head knock yesterday, no issues at all. Bailey Humphrey expected to play next week with a hamstring tightness. And Kane, I'll leave you with this in the injuries. Matthias Philippou re-signed halfway through last year, extended 2 years, 27 and 2028. My understanding is that extension is around $1 million a year. Is he playing like $1 million player yet?
Well, I was going to ask Kingy if he's in his LeBron library of those players that go down far too easily.
But he doesn't come back on.
Is
You
he
got
in
to come back
addition
on.
to
You got
the
to go
LeBron
off
library?
and come back on, and then you're instant inductee.
What I'll say about Matthias is I thought he was supposed to be this powerful, speedy athlete. Jeez, he looks slow. He looks like he's running in cement.
He hasn't quite won over his teammates yet either, Kane. I'll give you that much.
And
that's nasty.
he's
Well,
a
he
bit
hasn't.
different, but
Gee
he
whiz.
doesn't have the speed and power that
Ross
I
loved
was
him.
led to believe that he had when he was drafted. Tom, you're our guest, so you can start with the agenda this morning.
Thank you, Kane. Thank you, Kingy. I want to start with something that's close to my heart, and that's a segment that you often do, Kingy, which is called Dumb Shizen. Except I want to change it slightly, Kane, to Useless Shizen. So I want to bring something to you every week that is largely useless, but still in the football sphere. So this relates to boundary umpires. So the drop zone for all boundary umpire throw-ins is 18 to 20 metres away from the boundary line. And I've noticed something so far this year. The issue's been that for some time, a lot of boundary umpires can't reach that spot, or some boundary umpires can't reach that spot, Kane. So for the first time in AFL history, the league is now permitting boundary umpires to shuffle in up to 5 metres to throw the ball in 18 to 20 metres away from the boundary. So if you see umpires coming in off the line, that is why. Useless Shizen, Kane. I can see you just loving
Well,
it.
it's gone woke. World's gone.
We've lowered the bar. We've lowered the
It's
bar.
gone political.
Do you know what we did see yesterday? Do you know what we did see yesterday with the boundary umpires? Like, seriously, some things just make you laugh that hard you nearly cry. We saw them on the boundary line practicing the lasso.
No, you did not.
100%. 100%. I reckon I got it on camera. I reckon I've got it on camera. I might see if I can bring it out for Wednesday night.
Oh, God.
Sammy's doing the lasso
extraordinary.
now out there, actually.
No, my actual first agenda item, Kane, is the state of origin football, which is coming back next year. There's no doubt about that. There's a strong desire for the AFL to play a game in Adelaide because is it the 150th?
50.
150th
Yep, anniversary of the Sandful.
So it's the sesquicentenary of the Sandful. So Dave Matthews says there should be no preseason games at all next year. He said that
Love
on
it.
Crunch Time, Kane.
Love it.
Zero preseason games?
Love it.
Kane, thoughts?
I'm not violently opposed to it. Yeah.
What's
No,
that mean?
I think
Does it mean you agree?
yeah, it's like I'm not in one camp or the other. You know, like I'm okay with one preseason game if we have to. It doesn't get me that upset. But Dave made a good point. Like why play Collingwood in some outskirts of Australia? Right, well, let's just do that round one. So he made a good point. He also made a good point on what players should be paid. Unsurprisingly, he was asked by Jared on Crunch Time this question.
What do you think the responsible top price in the comp with the salary cap the way it is could be?
Right now, I think it's 1.3, 1.5, that sort of thing. But $2 million is that's starting to cost your players.
So what do you think? 1.3, 1.4 is the most that the Giants would pay a player. Is that That makes sense to me.
You're going to lose a lot of players.
Are they?
Yeah. Yeah,
well, Brisbane haven't lost many. I'm not sure they're paying anyone more than 1.4, and they've won a couple of flags.
Zach Bailey, there's your point. There's your case in point. Well, we'll see. Well, they've only just got to this point, so yeah, they're going to come after their players.
The cost of living in Sydney, 1.4 is like 1.1. Like, so you need to pay him 1.7, don't you?
Just a shout out to Daniel Harford, who was part of the lasso gear sort of discussion. He said you can't go with that without me riding shotgun, which is true. So, Harf, good morning. Hope you're going well.
Well, that was on my agenda. Right? It makes sense, but you guys disagree that 1.3, 1.4 is the most you can pay anyone.
You're just going to lose them. If you're happy to lose them, this is why I worry about you as a list manager.
But there's only so much that goes around. There's only so much cash that goes around. So to Hodgie's point last week, if you pay Butters 2, you're going to also lose players because you can't keep the others.
No, you just have less Brumbies that are getting $500 a year.
Brumbies.
You go to.
What's a Brumbie?
A Brumbie is a guy that's basically a list clogger,
a plotter
that's found his way to 400, 500 grand that you really don't need.
Yeah, which is the average salary.
You have 3 of them, you get rid of them, and you're back to rookie wages.
What's on your agenda, Kingy?
I just want to touch on quickly how the game has changed, right? So we're all talking about the new stand rule and all the rules that have been altered. Uncontested possession through the roof. So it's become a skill fest. Contested possession down. Inside 50s up about 7% per team. So it right now is resembling a little bit of basketball. Your turn, our turn, which is a concern. Spoke to Jared Healy about this, and he said this is a great result. And I like his intel on some of these things. So the two things I'm looking at are the blowout games. Last year we had 53 of 207 results were north of 50 points. This year we've had 5 in 14 games.
It's a terrible result.
It's a big ratio, isn't it? It's a big number. It's a high percentage.
Fast isn't better. I'm telling you, fast and ball in motion isn't always better.
Well, we're getting more 5+ individual goal kickers, 5+ goals. We've had.
Does that happen early always, though,
no,
at the start of the year?
You always say that, and I call you out every time.
I reckon we have this
make this shit up and try and push it through me, and
it doesn't wash. Language.
The ball's dry, players are fresh.
We had 2 last year in the first 2 rounds, round 0, round 1, and we've had 7 this year. So, no, it doesn't happen every year. So don't just shoot that off as a little throwaway that you try and sneak through me. High scoring and more predominant goal kickers is good for the comp.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
I'll save my
I'd rather a close game than a high-scoring blowout, let me tell you that. Tom, you got one more for me?
I do, but I'm just wondering if we've got time. We can save it if you want to do your biggest loser, Kane.
Well, I just wanted to do this each and every month.
When 7 was strong.
Shannon.
Yeah.
Good old days.
Famous show.
So on a Monday, and you can all join in, who was the biggest loser of the round is the question. There's some obvious nominees, but for me, you can't go past Port Adelaide. They're the biggest loser of the round. When you get beaten badly like that in contested, when you miss 20 tackles, when you lose to North Melbourne in the coach's first game, you are the round 1 biggest loser. Kingy, have you got another nominee, or you agree with me?
Oh, well, it's on the podium. I think the biggest loser was Brad Scott. To show that they have not improved one bit defensively was a sign of, oh, well, here we go again for Bombers fans.
Yeah.
Tom?
No, I think the biggest loser was St Kilda. 0-2 at the Saints after spending millions of dollars in the off-season. That puts them in a precarious position with a difficult road ahead. Their fixture is hard coming up, so they had to win at least one of their first 2, and they've lost them both.
I think this segment's
got
legs.
I
think it's got legs.
Yeah, find a sponsor.
Needs a little bit of work, the intro. I gave some of my best work early. Don't
worry.
The cut.
We'll have a sponsor next week.
Yeah. Now, Kane and Kingy, it's time for a quick weather update, thanks to City Power. In Melbourne,
It's January Tom's back.
In Melbourne, it's currently 17 degrees, headed for a top of 20. City Power, working in all conditions to keep your power connected. Essential as. I'll see you next week.
No, when are you back on TV?
Yeah.
Come on. When's when you're going to reveal with the ballers?
No,
when
it's
you're
probably
on
not a
TV?
question for me at the moment, Kane. I'm just happy to be doing Fireball with you and locked in. And
You would know in your calendar when you are due back on TV.
What?
Share it with the ballers. We don't hide anything on Fireball.
I'm writing for the AFL record. I'm on Fireball.
Yeah, no, I
I'm
know
on
that.
Locked In. Pre-game Fridays. Crunch time
Hey,
Saturdays.
I'm having a party in round 10 the Saturday night. Will you be available?
Oh, it's just one of those things I've got to look at my diary. I'll get back to you next week.